cuffs are off and the podcast is on. Back with your host, Officer Matt Coffey, Officer Ryan West. This is Dix Police Podcast Episode 6, where we're going to be speaking about how we interact with nonverbal autistic people. We're going to be bringing in Officer Cassandra Dempsey, talk about animals.
All right, so we had someone that actually commented on one of our first podcasts. I think it was the first podcast. And we asked them, hey, like if you guys got topics to talk about, go ahead and leave a comment. And some lady was nice enough to leave one asking, how do we deal or interact with nonverbal autistic people? Thankfully, it's not something we deal with a whole lot.
It's not.
Yeah, because that can be tough.
It can be.
So I got thinking about it. We were kind of making up notes for the podcast here. Generally, when we interact with them, it's because someone's like missing or the opposite. We have the person, but we don't know like where they're from,
who their parents are,
right.
Where they're, yeah.
And more often than not, it seems like they're children.
Yes, yeah. Like children, like 5, 6, 7, like right. younger kids, yeah. Yeah, obviously we want to get a response, right?
Right.
Where do you live? What are your parents' names? Obviously.
If they're nonverbal, it's kind of tough.
More often than not, if they're nonverbal, we're not going to get those types of things. But the beautiful thing is we have our database that we've built up over the past couple of years. So check that for previous calls at whatever address it may be, or if we have pictures. I know sometimes we like to take pictures of nonverbal autistic kids.
Yeah.
And if we have social media, which we have,
we're a lot of different tools. Yeah.
We have a big following on our social media sites. So take a picture of the kid, post it on Facebook. And I think, what was that one we had a few years ago? Was it a few years ago?
It was just last summer.
West 2nd Street.
Yeah, that was just last summer. That kid wasn't autistic. He was just young enough that he wasn't speaking yet.
Yeah.
But we did, do you know who I am? If so, please contact us immediately. And, people called. One of the other things we try is wherever we locate them, it's like start knocking on doors in the immediate vicinity.
Right.
Like, hey, do you know who this child is or person? Do you know where they come from? That kind of thing. And start going from there. We did have a real small child. It was like toddler done by Casey's last summer. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yes, I do. Yep.
And he was, like full autistic and not verbal, but he was like big enough he could turn doorknobs. Yeah. And so like grandma was watching him, I think. Anyway, he not from the area, so we hadn't had any interaction before, but thankfully one of the workers at Casey's recognized him. She goes, "Oh yeah, he's come in with.
He lives here,
right? He's here temporarily for like whatever
which
week.
Which was actually super close.
Yes,
which was good.
Yeah, so we ended up making contact with, I think it was grandma, and I think we asked her like, "Hey, do you mind if we like take a picture so we can have it and we'll send an email out so if we come across them again, we'll have a better starting point to go from."
Right, and we asked. It's good to ask like things that they like. I've got an autistic buddy. He loves water.
That's actually a kind of an autistic thing.
Yeah. So it's kind of a scary thing too.
Right.
Because
we have a big river in the middle of Dixon.
And we have a huge river, the Rock River, obviously. So that's one of the first places we usually check. And I think he liked water as well, this kid by Casey's.
I don't remember on that.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, I do remember that because he left and Grandma called in that he had run away and she couldn't find him, and then we actually found him playing in the garden in the backyard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, and he was like super nonverbal and stuff like that. So yeah, we did take pictures, and then with our database, we're fortunate enough that we can like tag people. If people are autistic or anything like that, we can tag that, and so when that pops up, it shows us
we get an alert.
Yeah, like an alert that autistic, nonverbal, whatever it may be. So that's really really nice with our new database that we have.
Yeah, some of the other things is like, thankfully we don't have. Excuse me. That's gonna be fun to edit out. We don't have that many nonverbal autistic people within Dixon.
No.
So the ones we do have, there's a good likelihood we've already interacted with them in some capacity. They're generally not violent or anything else like that. So we don't get a lot of calls with them. Someone will call in about a park. Hey, there's a person here. They're just kind of off. Something's a little different about them. They won't stop talking. It's really random stuff. And we'll go there and be like, oh, Yeah, they're here all the time. They're fine.
Right. Yeah. We actually just had some training. I guess a training scenario.
Yeah. One of our computer simulation
with
ones.
our what do you call it? It's technically firearms simulation stuff.
What's the use of force training?
Use of force. Yeah, force on force, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think it's use of force. So, yeah.
Yeah. That in the scenario was you go to a park and there's a subject sitting there. This woman is asking that you get said person out of there, and immediately he's got headphones on and he's got his hands in his pockets and he's just like he's tapping his feet or he's moving his hands, and when you're trying to speak to him, he's not responding to you. He's not taking the headphones off. So yeah, we actually do training on that type of stuff. So
and that training was tough.
That was a very, very tough one. Yeah,
you're staring at a big computer screen, and he pulls out what looks like a very realistic gun, but it's like a silver train
with as a cell phone. It might have been a cell phone too, something like that. And then you got the woman who's like, "You need to get him out of here." Well,
right.
Like, give us some time. Let's work with him. You don't want to rush things like that. So, it is good training, and I'm glad that we do it. Well, at least not that kind of scenario specifically, but stuff similar to that once a month. So
yeah, that's good. Well, pretty short and to the point one here, but we'll move on to introducing Officer Cassandra Dempsey.
Sounds good.
All right, so we'd like to welcome Cassandra Dempsey to the podcast. She's our resident animal lover and all things animal related. She's our kind of our go-to. One thing I did learn, though, she's afraid of horses.
Horses?
Terrified
of horses.
Really?
Have you ever rode one?
Yes, actually I have. I even went on an entire vacation strictly about riding horses in the mountains, but they're still terrifying.
Where'd you do that at?
Out in Colorado, in Red Feather Lakes. I went to a ranch on my spring break back in college. It was awesome.
That sounds cool.
Scary.
My daughter would love that.
It was a lot of fun. They have a private chef there, so you stay on the property the whole time. The chef cooks all of your meals, and then you have your cowboys, per se, that take care of all your horses, and they take you out on trail rides.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun.
I did not know that about Cassie.
Illinois is so boring.
Isn't it?
What do we have here?
I say it all the time. If I had the means to move, I would.
Yeah.
I would move.
Our problem is that my family and my wife's family is all like here.
So, yeah.
And so we're stuck.
Yep.
Yeah, my brother lives in Colorado now, so we actually have a reason to just go vacation
there you
whenever
go.
we
That's
want.
awesome.
Go ride horses.
No.
Free place.
We're going to go whitewater rafting next time and fly fishing, I think.
I want to do that.
That's on the bucket list.
That's one thing I did not do when we went to Colorado. I did the alpine slide, which we were watching videos and we got
that
to
looks
where
so much fun.
It was a blast. You ride there's a gondola that they have. It's Winter Park, Colorado is where we were at. So yeah, it was awesome.
Nice. That's definitely going on to my bucket list now.
Oh, for sure. It has to. Yeah.
All right. So we often run across animals in various states and usually panicking people. So as it turns out, we were talking before we got started with this, Cassie's got an extensive list of animals. And just a couple nights ago, we dealt with one more that you, and I quote, needed to check off the list.
Oh, absolutely. I'm always looking for new animals to add to my repertoire.
There we go. So that
portfolio, per se.
There you go.
So if you don't follow us on social media, you should. And one of the reasons is we've been posting about a beaver. So PJ actually, he sent me a message. I was off work on Thursday, but he's like, dude, you're not gonna believe this. Check this out. And he sent this picture, and I was like, oh yes. I was like, make sure you ask the other officer who was in the photo. I'm like, am I good to post this? He's like, yeah, you're good. People just ate it up. It's been great. So we've had a beaver living around the dam, ironically. Not a beaver dam, but actual hydro dam. Yeah. And he's got a death wish, apparently, because he keeps walking out in the road.
Into traffic.
Yes.
Yeah, he was walking against traffic the other night, and he just didn't care. Would not move out of the way. All the cars had to come to a complete stop, so I ended up having to put on my traffic vest, as we all saw, to get him across the bridge.
So he was actually in the middle of the bridge, right?
Correct. When I saw him, he was in the middle of the Glen Avenue Bridge in the northbound lanes of traffic, walking southbound, which is a violation, as we know.
Should have pulled him over.
Right?
I tried.
Just threw him over the edge onto the walking part.
Yeah.
Beavers are one animal I'm not going to pick up, though.
Yeah, so that was the other
You
fun
probably
fact we
couldn't
learned.
pick him up how big he was.
Yeah, he's heavy.
He's huge.
I didn't know the beavers got that big.
I've never seen them that big. I mean, I've seen them around, especially being from Southern Illinois. Like, they're always in the wetlands, and we see them all over the creeks and on properties.
Yeah.
But I've never seen one that close, that large, because they don't look that big when they're in the water.
Right. Yeah, so apparently, we started looking up a bunch of beaver facts afterwards. They can get somewhere between 50 and 100 pounds.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to tango with that.
Imagine a 100-pound beaver.
That's
a handful.
It's over half of
That'd be many handfuls.
it's over half my body weight. It's
Right.
over half your body weight, and it's over half your body
Yeah,
weight.
that's crazy.
That would be crazy. Someone commented on our Facebook. They're like, they bought a house from someone, and that person had like an award or something, not an award, but some kind of like recognition for they trapped beavers, and they had caught a 68-pound one
Golly.
in the Dixon area.
That's impressive.
That is very impressive.
It's probably, I'm going to guess that that record hasn't been beat.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Beaver
I can
pellets
just
aren't.
imagine it. Like, my son's like 25 pounds, and he's heavy. Like, that's heavy, when you carry him for long enough,
Imagine
obviously.
picking up
But 70
two of your
pounds?
sons, and then it slaps you with its giant tail.
Yeah.
Or tries to chew your finger off.
Right.
Yeah.
With
Not
its
scared of a
massive teeth.
taser, not scared of a baton, not
Yes.
scared of anything.
Not scared of our tools, that's for sure.
Funny.
So I was talking to Matt about this. The one thing I didn't realize, I'll say didn't realize, he didn't like walking on pavement because he was fine when he was on the grass. He was kind of just shooting him along. And once he started walking on pavement, and he was like, all right, dude, I'm done. I'm like, no, you need to keep going. He's like, no, this is uncomfortable. I don't like this. And he's panting.
Ryan's having
Drooling.
a conversation with him.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
Tons of people drove by with their phones out, and not one of them tagged us in any of their videos.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
It's probably like on Snapchat.
It's
not
probably,
on
yeah.
TikTok or something.
And I think the biggest disappointment is that you and I both failed to activate our body cameras.
I know.
We didn't have this foot pursuit on record. I know.
Right.
We both looked down and realized they weren't going.
Slowest foot pursuit ever.
Man,
It really was.
get new body cams and
Right?
guys don't use.
I
Come
was
on.
just too excited.
I know.
Well, I'm sure.
Well,
Yeah.
Me
it's
too.
like-
I got to add a beaver to my list
to
of
your
animals.
list. Yeah.
She was trying to get so close to get a picture with it, but you're like, don't let it touch me. Don't let it touch me.
Oh no! Like, you were definitely in charge of watching my back. I was not comfortable with it at my back because they're not fast, but they're not exactly safe.
Right. Yeah. Apparently they're pretty quick swimmers, like 5 miles an hour, which is
Faster than I can go.
probably about
Yeah.
4 miles an hour faster than I can go. So if you would go through just maybe a list of some of the animals that you've got on this repertoire of yours.
Well, I think the most common that so I've worked for several agencies, and when I worked in Macon County, which is where I started my career, we would get bat calls and snake calls all the time.
Is
So
it-
I was
I noticed we get bat calls a lot more in like the fall here. Is that the same with snakes or?
I don't really notice a difference as the time of year, I guess. Just it's been too long. But it would always be like basements. So people would always call and say they had a snake in their basement or they had lots of snakes in their basement. And when we get there, it's babies. So then you're like, all right, well, where's the mom?
Yeah.
But I was the only person on third shift in Macon County that was not absolutely terrified of snakes.
Because you had pet ones at one point, right?
I used to have a pet snake, yes. So I actually only got rid of it when I started dating my now husband because he was terrified of it and
I could see that.
would not come over anymore. So I rehomed my pet snake that I'd had for 13 years.
Yeah. I'm not a snake guy either.
Yeah.
So good thing Cassie's on our shift.
Yeah, not scared of snakes at all. So I've retrieved dozens of snakes out of homes, ranging from the size of pencils to 6 feet long.
No. Nope.
Yeah, yes.
Nope.
Yeah.
But-
Count me out.
You guys gonna
you'd
call
be calling
that
the fire
nope.
department because I just light the house on fire.
They're
Johnny,
not
can you
scary.
get city fire en route? Officer West is down.
Officer West is down. But yeah, bats all the time, right? And we get those up here.
Oh yeah.
But that's mostly a towel. If you can knock it down, just grab it with a towel and get it outside. I have had one that just would not land, so I ended up using a fishing net. We caught it and got it outside.
That works.
Yeah. Then I had a deer in Macon County that actually fell through a big cistern on a farm. So she knocked the top off when she was running. And
Uh-oh.
we actually got to kind of co-op with animal control for that one. And they came out with a tranquilizer and a big push pole. And we actually tranquilized her and then
Really?
pulled her out. And the fire department helped us and we drug her out because she was going to drown. She was up to her neck in water. And it was really cool that we were able to tranquilize her, carry her out to the field. And then once that tranquilizer wore off, she got up and walked away. So that was my first
Really?
interaction with a deer on the job that wasn't struck by a car.
Right.
So-
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You were a deputy for a while, so a lot of car versus deer calls.
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So that was my first deer. And then I had a deer up here in Dixon that I also got to rescue. And it was stuck in a wrought iron fence on the northeast side of town. It's a little fawn, and it ran through the fence and got stuck at its hips. So with the help of some neighbors, I was able to hold its head and kind of keep it calm while they pulled the fence apart, and we pulled it out, and I was able to hold it up while it kind of came to, and she took off running also. So that was really cool.
Nice.
You've got pictures of that. Correct?
I have pictures of
yeah,
that
we're gonna
deer.
we're gonna throw some
we'll
pictures
throw
of
some pictures
Cassie
up
and
here.
her animals in the
Yeah.
podcast.
Animal
So
exploits.
yeah,
I think probably the deer one that we're probably most known for, though, is Carlos's deer.
Carlos.
He just had to one up me. That
Caught
was,
him
Yes,
by the
he
neck.
did.
he just wanted to one up me with my animal pictures. That's
You guys
all.
have like an unspoken competition
Oh,
between.
it's not unspoken.
It's not unspoken.
Oh.
It's,
No,
it's well known.
It's well known.
Oh, it's
it's
well
well known. We text each other. Yeah, it's well known. When he got the deer, it was one of the first things that his shift made sure they sent me. I'm like, oh, thanks, guys, thanks. They're like,
That
have you
was-
ever wrestled a deer? No, I have not.
No.
I can't believe that deer didn't move.
Imagine
once
if
he
that thing
grabbed it.
kicked him.
Well, that's the thing. Their hooves are extremely
I can't-
dangerous.
Did you see the look in its eyes? It wasn't going to do anything.
It
Carlos was
wasn't.
in charge.
Carlos, yeah. I mean, yeah, he was, but just still, I can't imagine like getting kicked by a deer. Like,
Oh,
ooh.
no.
No, their hooves are almost like razors in that aspect,
Yeah.
and it would
Really?
literally slice us open.
Nice. All right. So what else have you caught?
Well, I had a ferret one time, so I got a call up on the northwest side of town here in Dixon. Somebody called in, and an unknown animal
Yeah.
in its house. I get there, and this gentleman has armed himself because he's terrified of said animal. And I'm like, well, where is it? And he's pointing at his couch. So I get down on my hands and knees, and his wife is just screaming at me, don't do it, it's going to get you. And I'm like, it's fine, I need to see what I'm working
Wait,
with
so
here.
this guy's holding a gun,
Yeah, he had a gun. He had a shotgun.
pointed at the couch.
For a ferret?
Pointed at, he didn't know it was a ferret. So I get under there with no idea what I'm going to find. His dog is barking up a storm. I light it up, and it's just this cute little brown ferret. And I'm like, well, come here, little guy.
So did anybody call in missing a ferret?
So I actually did find the owners of the ferret.
You did?
It lived across the street,
Oh, okay. So it didn't go too far.
but it took some work. So I ended up I had to go around and talk to the neighbors, and I actually brought it back. It stayed here at the Dixon Police Department for like a whole night. I brought a cat carrier in, and it kind of hung out with us. I gave it some water and some cat food, and
Did it smell? It seems like ferrets usually smell.
ferrets don't smell great.
Oh, you can't smell anything anyway, can you?
I could then, but I can't now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not-
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm gonna back up a second. Sorry, but you talking about the ferret and having a shotgun out. Have I ever told you guys about? I've told you about my frog incident at my house, right?
A frog?
No.
A frog?
No.
I haven't told you about this.
No.
Please enlighten us.
Okay, so wife. Well, she was my girlfriend at the time, but my now wife was off on vacation. She was gone with her family on vacation. I was working 3 to 3 at the time. I can't remember whose shift I was on. And I got off at 3 in the morning, came home, shower, eat, lay down for bed. It's about 3:30, and I start hearing noises throughout my house. And I'm not lying to you guys, I swear. So start hearing noises, so I grab my gun.
Natural.
And natural. I start clearing every room in my house. Clear it once, can't find anything, don't see any. I'm assuming it's a person trying to get into the house. Clear it once, nothing. Lay back down. A couple minutes later, I hear a noise again. Grab the gun again. Clear the house. So I clear my house twice. On the third time, I get up, turn every light on in the house, and I'm just going around. And then I go back in my bedroom, and I just sit still because that's where I'm hearing it. So garbage can underneath like the bag. I just had like you know a Walmart bag or whatever, and there's a frog running around inside of the bag. So you're talking about this little ferret. This guy's got a shotgun. I'm clearing my house, and lo and behold, it's a frog that's running around in my house. So now that everybody knows that, I must be afraid of frogs because
There
I
you
pull
go.
guns on them. So yeah, that just reminded me of your encounter with the ferret and the guy with the shotgun. So
Well, so Matt, you and I both live outside of town in pretty rural areas. And right after we bought our now home, I was walking in our front door, which we don't use. So it's kind of weird. There's a circle drive in front of our house, but it's overgrown, so we don't really utilize it. We utilize our side entrance to our garage, but I was walking in the front door when we were first moving in, and I had something wet land on my neck. So you can imagine in the middle of summer, you're wearing a tank top and there's this cool, wet item that just sticks to your neck. The natural reaction would be to scream and freak out, right? Which I did. And then I ran into the door because I was freaked out so bad. And I'm just running through the house, screaming bloody murder for my husband to come find me to find what is on me because I don't know what it is. And he starts laughing hysterically, and it's a tree frog.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never seen tree frogs, really. Like, we have toads in town, but not tree frogs. And now that we live out in the country, we were inundated with these tree frogs.
Yeah, my parents got them at their house. They hang out the umbrella for their
Patio.
Thank
Patio.
You're welcome.
Yeah. That was rough.
3 a.m.
Yeah. Well, so fun fact, we don't have tree frogs anymore because we got ducks, and our ducks ate them all.
Ate 'em
Really?
all.
Yeah, so we haven't had a tree frog in about 2 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad
Don't
because
have
I miss.
to worry about them falling on you.
I know, but I
anymore.
miss the sounds. Tree frogs have this really
Oh,
lovely
yeah.
sound, and
Yeah.
they're gone.
Nice.
But that was a big tangent about my ferret. So
Okay.
to frogs.
Now you've caught I think one of the best pictures you got is someone's dog brought in a possum.
Oh, yeah. And I had to cut my face out of that picture because I was laughing so hysterically that I had 12 chins. So I purposely cut my face out of that picture. I cropped it because I was like, there is no way this is going on social media with this face. Like, absolutely not. But I was laughing so hard because these people call it, and they're hysterical. They call 911 of all things.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, what's a crisis to somebody is not necessarily a crisis to everybody, right?
Right.
And these women, they were in full-blown crisis.
Oh, I bet.
Their dog brought this possum in, dropped it on the floor. They are immediately grossed out, freaked out. Okay, they yell at the dog. Well, the possum was playing possum, and then it got up and ran, and then it was pure chaos. So they call 911. I get up there, and they're crying. And the one lady is holding a lid to a Rubbermaid tote. So she has this big plastic lid, and I go, well, what are you going to do with that? And she goes, well, it's my shield in case it comes out. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's fair. Like, I get it. It's a wild animal, and you don't have experience with it. So I'm like, well, where is it? So she's very shakily pointing to this chair. So I go over, and it's a nice new recliner. I'm like, well, how much do you like this chair? And she goes, it's brand new. I go, so you really like it? And she goes, yeah, why? I'm like, well, I don't really know how I'm going to get it out unless I have to cut the fabric. And she goes, no, it's brand new. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, well, can you help me flip it on its side? No, I'm not going anywhere near that. You're on your own. Okay.
Perfect.
So I'm like, well, I make no promises. Hopefully I don't break your chair. So I very carefully, as carefully as I can at 5'5", lower this recliner onto its side.
Right.
And I look up in it, and sure enough, this possum is all the way up the back of the recliner.
It's a big possum, too.
Big possum. And it's holding on to the wood frame with all of its feet. So all four claws or all four legs are just completely dug into the wood, and it's staring at me like, come and get me. I'm like, well, I can't. You're all the way up this chair. So I have to get creative. It won't come out. I get my aspout, or expandable metal batons, and I end up grabbing its tail with one hand, and I stick the baton up there, and I'm like prying each leg off, and I have to like hold the tail out.
Because it'll grab onto it again.
Yeah. And it was just this very slow, painful process. So I finally get it out, and the lady is screaming because now she can see the possum again.
Right.
The dog is barking at me. It's trying to get the possum. It's not helping matters. Well, possums are pretty flexible, and their tails are definitely like just another appendage. And it whips up and it tries to bite me. So what do? I drop it. I'm like, gosh, dang it. So then it takes off running into her dining room, and it goes behind this corner cabinet that she has, but it's like a metal shelf. And what's it covered in? China.
Uh-oh.
So I'm like, I'm just going to leave that there for a second. She's like, no, get it out of my house. I'm like, I am not going to break things in your home, ma'am. Like, it'll come out eventually. And she's like, no, get it out now. Get it out now. So I'm like, okay. So I go over, and thankfully it's like terrified of me at this point now, wants to play possum again. And I'm able to just snatch it up by the scruff of its neck, which is the best way to carry an animal like that. That's how I carry raccoons. That's how you carry possums.
Yeah.
Another animal that we'll talk about here in a second. Anything that can bite you, that's the best place to grab it.
Right.
So I'm holding it, and all I can think of is, I need a picture of this.
Yeah.
So I am holding it, unfortunately, in the same hand as the side of where my phone is. So I'm trying to dig my phone out of my pocket, and I'm giving it to this lady. I'm like, hey, I need you to get a picture of me. Well, I have gloves on, so now my phone won't unlock. And
The
I'm like,
woman that's terrified, you're asking her to
yeah,
take a picture.
Absolutely. Like, this is not going undocumented, okay? So her daughter ends up coming in to take a picture because the woman is just not okay with it. So the daughter comes in. She's the one that had the Rubbermaid tote lid, mind you. And she gets her phone out, and she takes a picture of me, okay? I'm like, is it a good picture? Because, I mean, it's going on social media, guys, right? Like, it needs to be a good picture. She goes, no, it's actually really blurry. I'm like, oh, okay, take it again. So I'm smiling, like I'm posing, I'm ready to go. and this possum starts pooping all over her floor, like liquid poop, which apparently is a defense mechanism for said possum.
Right. Yeah.
And I
flight,
start laughing hysterically, and that's the picture we get. So
Nice.
hence the 12 chins. I had to crop my face out of the picture. But it's still great. I have the original for, posterity, but
that is a good picture.
that was my best one with the possum.
I remember when that one came out, I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're just
That's awesome.
big rodents.
They are. They're really good at eating ticks.
They are. And they can't carry most diseases. Like people get kind of nervous about them, but a possum's body temperature is too low to contract rabies. So like they don't carry things like that. So they're actually really good to have around.
Yeah.
So I have to constantly tell my dogs to leave them alone.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're always in the yard.
So I didn't realize that they get most of the ticks because the ticks crawl onto them.
Correct. Yeah, they're eating them off themselves.
Yeah. So I had no idea. Other animals really good at eating ticks? Turkeys.
Really?
Yeah. It says something like up to 400 ticks a day.
Wow.
So actually, fun fact, I came home yesterday morning and there was like a
Flock?
group,
I don't know.
a lot of turkeys.
A lot.
Like right just inside the wood line. And I was letting my dog out and it's like 6 a.m. and they're just going nuts watching us. And I was like, yeah, you guys are safe over there. I'll just stay over here. They're big.
Yeah.
So we'll get about 20 of them in our yard.
Yeah, we always see them right around this time of year. So in the spring is when they kind of make their way into our yard too, which always shocks me because I have 3 large dogs.
Yeah.
So the fact that they come into our yard is always kind of surprising, but they stay on the one side, they tear up my house to bed, and then they leave. So thanks, turkeys.
Hosses are pretty resilient.
Oh, yeah, you can't destroy a house.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what's the next animal?
So I have a groundhog.
Okay.
It was a baby groundhog.
Remember that one? I saw that
So
picture.
that was actually like lodged in a fence. So some kids saw it, and they actually are the ones that called it in, which was really nice to see. I get up there, and it unfortunately had its leg kind of intertwined through this chain link fence, and I'm like, and it's so small. So this was a baby, and it was extremely hard to hold on to, which doesn't make it any less dangerous. It
Right.
still wants to eat me.
Still have teeth.
Yeah, it still has really sharp teeth. It's still really upset with me, even though I'm trying to help it. So it's trying to bite me. It actually did get the tip of my glove at one point, but I can't, I'm pinching it. So your little pincher grip is all you can do. You can't really get a full grasp on it because you don't want to choke it. You don't want to hurt it. And then you have to get its poor leg out of the fence. So after a very long conversation with said baby groundhog, I did finally get a hold of it enough to get it out of the fence, and I let it go, and it did walk off. It was kind of dragging the one leg, but hopefully it made it. At least we gave it a fair chance, and it wasn't going to starve to death in the fence.
So you got an owl too, right?
I had a seagull.
Seagull.
I thought you had like a wounded owl at one point.
I didn't know. I wanted to go to it.
You
It was
wanted
county.
to. That's right.
County had the
County,
owl,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
was like, "Hey, can I go?" And you just stared at me and gave me the look. So
It was a long ways away.
well, it doesn't matter. It would have been a new animal for me. It was a new animal. I needed to add it.
You did get a seagull. I do remember that one because
That's a great picture. by
I
the
was
way.
going.
Oh, the seagull was trying to eat everything off my vest.
Total disclosure: with wounded animals, we usually put them out of their misery.
Yeah. So obviously,
Or
if
I do. Cassie doesn't.
well,
Cassie takes him home.
She raced me to that seagull.
actually-
I was like, well, I'm just gonna go kill it.
I actually tried to take the seagull home after it went and did its rehab, and it was completely fine. They were like, "Yeah, well, it just won't fly, so it's going to need to find a home." And I was like, "Oh, I have fowl. Like it could come live with me."
Yeah.
And it just never came to fruition, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah. We get a lot of like wounded animals, or I had a possum one night that he got hit by a car and he was just walking in circles, just endlessly. I'm like, well, sorry, buddy.
certain things have to be dispatched
Yep.
because it's the humane thing to do.
Correct.
I raise fowl and I hunt, so I have no issues with that. I mean, I've dispatched plenty of deer as a
Right.
county deputy.
Mostly
But-
with your car.
Only one with my car. But yeah, most animals, if they can be saved, if it's something minor, it's nice to just give them that chance.
Right.
I think the biggest misconception we get with wounded animals, though, is people will constantly call in and say raccoons have rabies and they want us to kill them. And they really don't. They have distemper is what it mostly is. It's not as dangerous. It's still not healthy for the raccoons, but people will just immediately go to rabies because then they're scared that they're going to catch it and get hurt.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We came across we had a deer. Was that last year that you think had a chronic wasting disease?
Yeah, so that was up off Lowell Park Road. In,
Yeah. I
the
couldn't
19th
stand, right?
Green.
It kept like falling over.
Yeah, so it had laid down underneath somebody's stairs, and before we got there, they said it was just pacing around in circles in a very tight area. And I don't know if she actually had chronic wasting disease. We did call conservation. So Illinois Conservation Police came out and they did dispatch her to take her off for testing because that is really contagious and really dangerous for herds of deer. But they said what was probably more likely is that she had been either injured while mating. Maybe a buck had hurt her because the witnesses did state that there was a buck earlier, or maybe she had been struck by a car, just not enough to kill her.
That's true.
She could have just been dazed and confused.
Road, so yeah. Not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, but they said they didn't want to take any chances, and given her behavior being extremely abnormal, and especially with that circling, they just said, yeah, we'll take care of it, and they sent her off for testing, but I never got a follow-up, so I don't know.
Yeah. You and I caught a snapping turtle once.
Very large snapping turtle.
That was a big one. It was hot that day, too.
Ah, it's gross.
Yeah, that was like Petunia Fest time frame.
Yeah.
There's a creek, which I'm actually surprised it had water in it at the time.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't have water very often.
I don't think it does. So it must have just rained or something. And that was a long ways from the river, too. So, yeah, it was probably like almost a foot in diameter.
Yeah.
It was a big one. Yeah.
What'd you do with it?
You grab it by the tail, move it off the road.
That's all.
You just don't grab by the shell because their necks are really long. They'll get your fingers if you're holding on the sides of the shell.
Yeah.
So
Matt doesn't seem like the kind of guy's going to grab a turtle
I ain't
anyway.
gonna grab no turtle. Nope.
fun fact about turtles, if they bite you, they will not release. You have to submerge them underwater.
I will pull my gun on it. I'm sorry.
Well, they have a hard shell. What are you going to do about that?
My gun will go through that. I promise. If not the first shot, then the second or third.
Yeah, so I actually had box turtles growing up.
Box turtle, okay, if a box turtle bites me, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If a snapping turtle bites me, it's
But, I mean, it's the
game
same
on.
concept. So, like, that's anytime they would bite, they would never release. We always have to submerge them underwater to make them let go.
Huh.
Jeez.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much about animals
About
in this
animals?
episode, and I am all for it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a lot of, we were talking this earlier, foxes around town lately. There a lot of them, actually. And they're quick. Usually, you just catch just glimpses of them. Saw a skunk the other night, too, while I was driving around. So that's always fun.
Yeah.
Actually, so when I was on field training, I'm riding around with actually your husband.
Nice.
And we're up north side of town. We're just kind of cruising along, and he's in the passenger seat on his phone or something like that. And this skunk runs out in front of us, and I just mashed on the brakes because I didn't hit it. And he wasn't expecting it. So he went flying forward, and stuff went everywhere. And he's like, "What in the world are you doing?" I said, "Oh, there was a skunk there." He's like, "Oh, okay, good call." But
Nobody wants to
never
smell like
get
that all
that
night.
smell out.
Smelly. Yeah.
oh, yeah. That'd be bad.
Well, yeah, now that we all kind of live outside of town and we all have, country property, we all have dogs. Has anybody had their dogs sprayed by a skunk yet?
Thankfully, no.
We thought Hank did once because every time he would come in, he'd smell like a skunk.
Oof.
But I don't think we did. I think it was just coming in from
Smoking
just smelling. yeah, coming in from outside. But
Yeah.
there's been a couple times where we thought he has been sprayed. Yeah.
Well, knock on wood, none of
Yeah.
mine have, but growing up, very good friends had theirs sprayed, and they used to raise Vizslas and Weimaraners. And
At least it's a smaller hair.
yeah, really fine hair, but
Yeah.
the dog wasn't intelligent and got sprayed like 3 times in a month.
So
So
Vizslas are supposed to be like one of the smartest dogs.
I think it was one of their Weims.
Oh, okay. That
But
makes more
yeah,
sense.
it was one of those things like, you try everything. You
Right.
do the Dawn dish soap, you use the baking soda, the vinegar,
Tomatoes,
the tomato paste,
yeah.
ketchup,
Yeah.
everything. And I feel like their house just permanently
Just
smelled like
personal-
skunk for that
terrible.
year.
That's not good.
We got so many coyotes out where we live that I don't know that there's much of a skunk population right
Yeah,
now.
probably not.
So it's like the one benefit of coyotes. Other than that, they're kind of pests.
Yeah. We hear them, but we don't see them very often. We
Yeah,
actually have only ever had a couple get picked up by our cameras, and we see foxes pretty frequently, which make me nervous because I have chickens and ducks, but
Yeah.
luckily I've never had one,
We had one in our
Plucked
yard
off.
2 days ago.
a fox or coyote.
Coyote.
Ooh, how's your dog feel about that?
She just barks at it. Marcy came and woke me up because it was like, 10 in the morning. She goes, "There's a coyote in the backyard. You want to go shoot it right now?" And I had been asleep for like an hour and a half.
Ugh,
I was like, no,
no. I am going to choose to stay
Back
in
to
bed.
bed.
Thank you.
live another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 o'clock's kind of a really odd time to have one
It
just
was,
roaming around.
it was picking, it was like, you could see it was like jumping at stuff along the edge of the wood line. So, I mean, it was out.
Field mice or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and they just burned off all the grassland out by Nachusa. So that's slim
Easy
pickings.
pickings.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
So any other animals that you think we've missed? You
All
covered
right,
quite a
so I
few.
have snakes, bats, deer,
Deer, ducks.
the baby groundhog. I've rescued many ducks,
Many ducks.
but they're always babies. It's always
Yeah.
people that call in and
They're always
say babies.
They're in the sewer drains or whatever.
Yeah,
else.
sewer drains or in the middle of the road. And, oh, their mom's not here. Well, she's close. Trust me.
Yeah. Lots of cats.
The ferret. Actually, I I don't do cats.
No?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've never had a call where I needed to actually rescue a cat.
Neither does
Really?
Ryan. Ryan doesn't do.
We've
talked about
I've
that
had to
on here
catch so
before.
many cats. That's going to be my memorable call. I'll talk about later.
Oh,
Yeah. So a lot of dogs, always those loose dogs.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I don't really shy away from dogs. I've only had a few that have ever really made me question if I was going to get bit or not.
Yeah.
But as far as wild animals go, I think we've really hit my list out nicely. The seagull was definitely fun. That was last year, or was it last year?
It was last year, last summer, I think.
Last year. Maybe I guess 2 summers ago actually.
County allegedly had a mountain lion last night.
I would love to see it. I'd
From
love
a
to see it.
distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they're just trying to one up our beaver call.
yeah. I think that's what they're doing.
Like Ashton wants some notoriety, like
If
ours.
there's no picture, there's no proof.
Yep.
That's right.
Exactly.
The
Picture it didn't happen, right?
So it's funny you mentioned that. So Joe Presley was on his way there, and I was texting him. I was like, "You better get pictures." He's like, "Oh, I'll try. I did. I was listening to their radio traffic. I was just laughing because they're like, I think I see something with my spotlight. Like, why don't you go look? I'm like, I'm not going near there. Like, I wouldn't either, man.
Take your rifle.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Nope.
If it really is a cougar, even if it's a bobcat, bobcats can get up to like 45 pounds, a big male,
That's a big cat.
female. And, those cats are known for pouncing. So
Right.
they're going to close that distance on you so fast.
Real quick. Yeah.
And their teeth and claws are literally made for tearing meat apart. So I think I'll pass.
Yeah, I'm good.
I did a backpacking trip with like Boy Scouts in New Mexico, way back when, and the same thing. They're like, okay, like we got bears and mountain lions and whatever else. Like, you'll see a bear coming, you'll hear it, just stand still, it'll run right past you because it's a black bear, and they'll try to look tough, and then they'll go away. They're like, you won't see a mountain lion, like
Until it's too late.
yeah. They're like, if you see it, just try to get real big and like
Yeah.
cover your throat. I'm like, what? That's terrible advice.
Well, that's what they're going to go for.
Right.
Yeah,
That's how they kill.
Like,
Yeah.
oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thankfully we didn't see any.
No.
Right?
It'd be neat from a distance.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a bobcat up pretty close. I deer hunt and I see him in the woods pretty frequently.
Did you
but
really?
yeah, so I have a video of one from my deer stand just a couple years ago, and same thing though. You didn't see it till it's too late. Like and they're quiet. I mean, they're
Yeah.
very stealthy. That's their nature. That's how they hunt. And I'm just sitting in the stand, and I heard just the faintest ruffle. So of course I'm thinking, oh, that's going to be like the biggest buck of my life, and he's right behind me, and I'll never be able to get a shot on him.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking around, nothing, and then just straight ahead, I'm kind of starting to relax, and I see him. He's looking at me through a cedar tree. He's up basically eye level with me, but he's on a hill.
Oh, really?
And he came right by me, got within 15 feet of the bottom of my tree, and I don't have a tag, and I don't know if I
Yeah.
could shoot a cat
That'd be
anyways. Like,
cool.
I just don't know if I could, but I got my phone out and recorded him, and it was a really neat interaction. It was on my mom's farm, so it was neat to take that video back and show her.
So they're not really considered like a nuisance or anything, right?
Not anymore. So there's actually a large enough population that you can apply for tags. So they're allowing that now, but they're not really a nuisance.
Because they're not hurting like chickens or stuff like that, are they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know of them really encroaching on human areas where they're affecting livestock.
Yeah, they're cool looking. There was years ago, I looked on a website. There's domesticated bobcats. You got to give them declawed. But
Well, that's fair.
but it's basically like a mid-sized dog that's a cat.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like they love baths, they love car rides, they do everything the dogs do, but it's just a cat.
It's just a
Well, that would be
It's
kind of fun.
humongous. Yeah, I was like, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would actually be kind of fun. I could handle that.
I've always said that we should get like our canine, get it to be like a mountain lion or something like that. I mean, the first person at malls, there's gonna be no drugs in Dixon.
yeah.
Like, oh, Kevin got a bite.
Yeah. Right.
You have a mountain lion named Kevin? Like, yeah, it's awesome.
He's really effective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good in the winter.
Oh gosh.
Well, I think that about wraps it up. Appreciate you taking the time to come in and talk about animals.
Oh, it's always my pleasure.
the
That's-
one thing you absolutely love. So
Yeah.
I could do it for hours.
There you go.
we were going to talk about car seats, but we realized that people
Animals are so much
so
better.
much easier to talk about.
They really are, and
Yeah.
So
people
much
will
less
listen.
dry.
Yeah. Car seats are important too, but maybe
Yeah.
that's for a later episode.
Yeah.
There you go.
So-
Well, I'll come back and we'll talk about it another day.
There you
Sounds
go.
good.
Awesome.
All right, we'll let you get back to whatever you're doing.
Thanks, Cassie.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Okay, so on to obscure
Obscure
laws.
laws.
Yeah, we got some good ones this week, I think.
We'll let Ryan go first.
Okay, so I had you prepped with the one I was talking about earlier before we
Okay.
started, but I found a different one. I think it's actually better.
Oh, okay.
Do you know this is a city ordinance? what the
Dixon?
yes,
Dixon,
yep,
okay.
Dixon city ordinance. What the regulation is on carrying loads that like hang over the side of your vehicles. I didn't know this was a thing until I read it.
Every single time we do this obscure law and you ask me about a city ordinance and you ask if I know, and every single time I say no.
The reason I say that is because I had no idea before this.
So it's probably not good that I don't
Right.
know these, but this is one from what I'm actually, I'll just let you say it. But no, I do not. I'm not aware.
Oh, you have a copy of this. I forgot
do
I gave
have
you
a
my
copy.
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nothing over the left side of the vehicle because, like if you're passing traffic,
So
right,
your
you don't want
driver's
something to hit.
side.
So if
Oh,
something has
okay.
to stick out, it has to stick over the right side of your vehicle
Right side.
up
Okay.
to 6 inches,
6 inches. Okay.
which isn't very much.
That's not.
Yeah. Do you know how many trailers you're allowed to have? It's a common sense one.
I'm going to say
One.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So like on the interstate, you can have like those FedEx trailers and maybe they'll have like 2 trailers hooked up in tandem. You can't do that in town, which I was going to say I've never seen, but knowing some guys around town who has maybe some homemade trailers, I wouldn't put it past them.
So, what is very funny that you say this. So, my wife and it's so funny this came up. So, my wife and I were in Wisconsin. This was probably 3 years ago or so. We're going down the interstate. We were going shopping or something. And there's an actual like crew cab pickup truck. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But it was a pickup truck, and then attached to the pickup truck was another bed, like a truck bed. Attached to said truck bed was another truck bed. So there was a truck bed
And
attached to another truck bed. So in Illinois, that would be illegal. But he had plates on both truck beds. They were both registered. Like I don't know if it was legit, but he had license plates on him, and then he was towing firewood is what it was. But yeah, you saying that you can't have any more than one trailer.
You're right.
I mean, are those considered trailers, or
I would.
are they
think
considered? I don't know. That's a Wisconsin. I'm sorry, but yeah, that you talking about the trailers that reminded me of. I actually have a picture of it. I'll show you once we get off here. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So no more than one trailer.
Okay.
And then
that makes sense.
no stuff hanging more than 6 inches.
6 inches off the passenger side of the vehicle. Okay. So the one that I found is actually in Bloomington.
A lot of these are from Bloomington.
Yeah.
A lot of weird ones there.
And Chicago.
And Chicago.
So if you're at a bar and you purchase, like you actually buy a bottle of water at the bar, which I'm assuming most people aren't doing, but if you do, you cannot leave with the bottle of water.
I wonder if, you know what, I think I know why they do this.
You seem to know, like, why. Though the last one I had, the opera and the dog, you seem to know why.
It's when I do that terrible accent, trying to do a French impression.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, so
I'm curious to hear what you have for this one.
well, what does water maybe look like in a bar?
Ooh. Yeah.
Right, alcohol.
Yeah,
right?
alcohol,
So
yeah.
if it's in a cup and you walk outside and you say, no, it's just water. And it's
they can get
actually-
fined for it and
it's
stuff
actually,
like that. Yeah.
whatever, vodka or something like that.
Yeah. So some of these laws, like,
So
you're making them out to be that they're not that obscure. I feel like I'm coming up with good ones. Not
I
coming
just
up.
had to put some thought
but
into it.
It
like,
makes, it would make sense.
I'm trying to think of like the why behind it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you outlaw water? That seems silly. But then I think about it like, you don't get like a Dasani bottle of water. at a
Right,
bar,
yeah,
right?
of course.
It'd be a plastic
Right.
cup because it's
Plastic
cheap.
cup or...
And they just
yeah.
fill it up and charge you whatever, $1 for it. Mm-hmm. Then you walk outside, but it's actually full of not water.
Yeah,
you know?
right. And then they're getting fined or whatever it may be for... That makes sense.
Yeah. So I think we solved this one.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
I wonder if we got that here in Dixon. I don't think we do.
No, probably not.
We do have, you can't carry around alcohol outside.
That is, yeah. And you actually see it quite a bit, especially with the Bean Blossom parking lot and stuff like that. You see people carrying drinks out and stuff. So, yeah.
You know who's a hawk for that?
Don't tell me. Am I thinking right?
You're thinking Goose?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
He could spot that so far
from a
away.
mile.
He pulled in the parking lot. Dump that out.
He's
I'm like,
probably on the
I didn't
north
see
side
that.
of the bridge, and he
Yeah.
can see it. Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
It sounds like Goose.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
Memorable call?
Memorable call.
Okay, we just had one
Actually,
recently. Actually, both
of
these
are pretty recent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go first. So last night, actually, we had a DUI hit and run, and we had 2 witnesses call it in, and I arrived on scene. It was actually in our Bean Blossom parking lot, and I arrived on scene. They waved me down, and they're telling me that this dark in color SUV hit this vehicle, backed up, and then took off. And that's all we had was a dark colored Chevy SUV with only one occupant, just the driver in it.
And the Bean Blossoms, the parking lot by the bars.
Yes, by the bars. Yep. So that's all we had to go off of initially. And obviously, after the accident, there was some debris. There you go. Some debris left over from obviously the vehicle that was hit and the other vehicle. So I look down and I see a license plate bracket, and the license plate was actually face down. So the 2 witnesses were there. I was talking to them or whatever, and I just took my foot and I flipped it over. And I'm like, oh, look at that. They were nice enough to leave their license plate. And these 2, and this has happened to me before, where someone gets in an accident, and, other officers would know. You get in an accident, sometimes they leave the license plate behind. And I actually had that happen on another DUI hit and run, where somebody had hit a fence in someone's front yard and just left the plate behind.
It's convenient.
Convenient, right? So when I flipped, to me it wasn't a big deal, but when I flipped it over, these 2 witnesses thought I was like the greatest police officer in the world. Like I was
How did you do that?
like a true detective. Like they were like, that is some real detective work right there. And I'm thinking to myself like, no, it's not. But I kind of played along with them.
Flipped it over.
Yeah, I kind of played along with it, and we were actually able to. We got the license plate number, and then actually our county guys stopped the car, and turns out that the driver was
Impaired.
Highly impaired, and was placed under arrest, and we were able to contact the victim, the victim's vehicle that got hit. We were able to contact them and square everything away. And
did she have insurance?
She did have insurance.
Oh, perfect.
Yep, she had insurance.
Happy ending for everyone.
Happy ending for besides
except for her getting DUI.
Besides the arrestee.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my memorable one, which was just last night.
All right. So for my memorable call, it's along the still theme of animals.
Animals, okay.
So I did my best cat call in the last video.
Okay.
Not a cat call, like a whistling at somebody. Like dealing with cats.
Oh, a cat call.
And a call. As soon as I said it, I was like,
it's
going to be taken wrong. Yes.
I did my best cat
My second best call involving cats. We'll go with that.
There you go. That works.
Yes. So I was working with Carlos, and someone called, and they were at one of the hotels. And then I called, they're like, we got a cat in one of these rooms that won't get out. I was like, are you serious? They're like, yeah, like it's really mean. Can you guys just come take this out? I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess. So we ended up grabbing, we have a pole with like a little lasso on the end of it, the dog pole.
The dog catcher, or whatever.
Yeah. It's always super complicated. I never remember which thing to pull on it. So we brought that along. We're like, sure, we'll just take this. I don't really know what to grab. So we grabbed that, and I think somebody had a cage somewhere. Or maybe we used a tote. I don't remember.
Boy.
But anyway, so we get to this hotel. Carlos and I walk in, and the staff there at the hotel are like, oh, thank God you're here. We're like, what do you mean? Like, well, this lady, like, we kicked her out, but she ended up picking up, like, a stray cat outside, and we threw it in the room, and it won't let the, like, cleaning staff go in to clean the room. I was like, I mean, it's a cat. You just grab it and throw it out. They're like, no. Like, you don't understand. I was like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. So we go up, and it's like second or third floor. They use their little key card, and they buzz us in. We open the door, and like the lights are off, curtains are drawn, so it's dark in there. And all you can see is the eyes.
2 eyeballs.
And it's going. I was like, what in the world? They're like, yeah, we're not going in there. This thing is mean. I was like, okay, sure, whatever. We go in there. No, it's super mean. Like Carlos and I go in, they like shut the door behind us. And, like they didn't come in with us. It was just me and him. I remember just laughing. And this thing is like sprinting in circles, like
oh my gosh,
insane speeds going around the room and trying to attack us. And so we're like, let's get that dog pole. Well, cats are basically liquid with fur.
Yes, they are.
And so we're trying to get this this pole around the thing just to grab the cat because there's no way I was getting my hands close to it.
Right.
I learned my lesson on that first one.
Right.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to listen to the last podcast.
Yeah, right.
But we ended up getting the loop around the cat, and I was shocked at how tight we had to pull it so the cat wouldn't slip out of it. I think it must have slipped out of that thing like 4 or 5 times.
Jeez.
And it had crapped all over the room, like just panic me, and that thing was just, oh man, it was awesome.
Didn't get a hold of you, did it?
No.
Like the last one?
I kept it at length.
Oh.
Yeah, I made sure I had gloves.
Yeah.
Better gloves this
better
time.
gloves and
Yeah.
put a long sleeve shirt on.
I
Click.
remember us pulling out, and the housing staff was like, "Oh my gosh, thank God you guys got that," because that thing wouldn't let us in there at all. And we ended up just taking over to animal control. We posted a picture
animal
of it.
control.
Yeah, but oh man,
That's a good
just
one.
the whole thing of them like
You and
opening the
cats,
door.
man.
I
You
know.
can't get away from the cats. You would think Carlos would have taken the lead on that. Did you get it in the lasso thing, or was it Carlos?
I don't remember. I think he was like.
So you would think
I
after
think he was pinning it to the ground with like his asp or something like that.
Okay.
Like we had to pin it like against the bed. Like I said, the thing was going at full speed.
Jeez.
Like just
So
running around
you
the
would
room trying to
think
get away from
after
us.
your encounter with the last cat, you would think Carlos would take the lead on that one. But yeah.
So after that, the other one, Lincoln posted a picture. I was deploying to the Middle East, and Lincoln found a picture of this guy holding like an Uzi submachine gun and a cat.
He put
He put my face on it. So
that was on your drawer.
It's on
out
my
here.
drawer. Yeah,
Oh, it is
yeah.
on your drawer still.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So
Yeah.
I'll throw that one up there. That's
That's a good one. That's a funny meme. Yeah.
it's a good one with cats.
Oh,
So,
that's great.
yeah, it's always something about cats. But
Yeah, always.
yeah, at least they're keeping the things different. It's a different call every day.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
That's the refreshing part about this
Yeah.
job.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, definitely not everyone's a cat person for sure. But
And I'm not really a cat
Yeah,
person either. Yeah. So.
I don't mind them unless they're attacking me,
Yeah.
or I'm trying to force them to do something they don't want to do.
Right.
So, all right. Well, I think that's all we got for today. Appreciate Cassie coming on and talking about the great variety of animals that she's dealt with. So, pretty entertaining stories.
Yeah, those pictures are going to be entertaining too. So
Yeah. I
make
had
sure
no
you
idea
tune
about
in.
some of the stories. That was pretty good. The ferret go through the dog door. I could see
Oh,
freak
man.
somebody out holding a shotgun
It's
against
a
it.
shotgun.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Imagine showing up to that. You just walk up, guys, just got a shotgun. You're like,
Yeah.
let's
What are you doing with
let's
that?
put that away.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. And if you want more of it, just keep tuning in. Follow us on all sorts of platforms: Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram, YouTube,
Spotify.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll keep them coming along for you.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Yep.